What's up guys? Today I'll be reviewing Memento, the next film directed by Christopher Nolan in my series of reviews leading up to his next film, Dunkirk. Now, today isn't going to be a typical review, it's not going to be straightforward. I will be doing an analysis review of Memento. I will get in depth, so this is a major spoiler warning. You have been warned. I'll do my best to uncover certain plot details, say my thoughts. Here we go. As the opening credits begin, we see a Polaroid picture. However, when the person holding the picture is shaking it, the picture doesn't appear more visible, it however fades away. This will parallel the film we are about to see. The picture fading backwards symbolizes how the film will be. The film, with its famous non-linear narrative, tells its story backwards. Our main character is Leonard, played by Guy Pearce, who suffers from short-term memory loss. The last thing he remembers was his wife being attacked and raped. He cannot form new memories, so everything that he does and he sees, we feel it the same way. Every place he goes, he doesn't remember how he got there. He solves this problem by taking Polaroid pictures. He also covers his body in tattoos with important information that he can never afford to forget.
I don't have amnesia. I remember everything right up until the incident.
What amazed both critics and fans when this film first came out was its groundbreaking non-linear narrative. The film starts at the end. The first scene of the film is the final chronological event that takes place. The film then takes us on a journey back through time. Each scene finishes where the last scene began. Thus, as each scene progresses, we learn how Leonard got to the place he was at the beginning of the previous scene. The way the film is set up is ingenious because it parallels the fractured memory of our main character with the viewing experience. The viewing experience, caused by every scene beginning and ending abruptly, makes it feel like we are waking up, just like our main character. As the story in colour moves forward, or in chronology, backwards, intercut between these scenes are black and white scenes which go forward in time. They go in normal chronological order. These scenes chronicle Leonard on the phone to a mysterious person telling the story of Sammy Jenkins. Sammy Jenkins is a man whose story Leonard tells to everyone he meets. According to Leonard, Sammy Jenkins was a client Leonard had in his previous life as an investigator. Sammy Jenkins and his wife were involved in a car crash, leaving her fine, but Sammy with no short-term memory, similar to Leonard's situation in the events that take place during the film, not in his previous life. Leonard has to investigate whether Sammy is faking or not through a series of tests and questions. Leonard is fascinated by Sammy's story, however, he always feels regret because at one time, Sammy's wife came to Leonard, asked him if Leonard thought that Sammy was faking it, if Leonard thought that Sammy could have the ability to form new memories.
What do you want from me?
I want you to forget the company you work for 30 seconds and tell me if you really believe that Sammy's faking his condition. I need to know what you honestly believe.
I believe that Sammy should be physically capable of making new memories. I thought she was just trying to catch me off guard, so I didn't tell her what I really thought, but I never said that he was faking. Just that his condition was mental, not physical. I found out later that she went home and gave Sammy his final exam.
He thought he was just giving her an answer to satisfy her questions. However, she took his answer and took the answer into effect. She was a diabetic, and since Sammy learned how to apply her insulin before his accident, that was a skill that he could still perform. So Sammy's wife asked Sammy to give her her insulin, so he did. She then asked him again because he had forgotten. She was hoping that every time she asked her husband to give her insulin, at one point he would remember and realize that if he gave her too much, she would eventually overdose, which, sadly, she does. Sammy is left grief-stricken, his wife dead, but she had her closure. She found the answer to her question. Leonard is always haunted by this, and he tells the story of Sammy Jenkins to everyone he meets. This story will become very important as the film progresses. The mystery delves deeper with the introduction of Natalie, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, who people know for playing Trinity in The Matrix. Natalie at first is a very mysterious figure, but as the film progresses, we learn more about Natalie and Leonard's relationship and how her actions affected his and vice versa. Some humour is injected every time Leonard sees a new person, or when he thinks he sees a new person. It turns out he's actually met this person multiple times before and has to apologise every single time for not remembering them.
Natalie.
You don't remember me.
I'm sorry, I should have explained. I have this...
You did explain, Lenny.
Please call me Leonard. My wife called me Lenny.
Yeah, I know, you told me.
Well, then I probably told you how much I hated it.
Yeah.
As the film moves forward and time goes back, we learn more about Leonard and Natalie's relationship. We learn that she used him to kill a man that was on her tail. Natalie's husband was involved with drugs, and after her husband died, men were sent after Natalie to find out if she had the money from the failed drug deal. Natalie uses Leonard to kill one of these men who is looking for her, and thus she helps him find John G., the supposed killer of Leonard's wife. We never find out how Leonard knows that his killer's name was John G. However, this eternal quest for his wife's killer is centered around who this person is. We know that he has a license plate for the car of who he thinks is the killer, and Natalie runs the plate and gives him a name. This name is John Gamble, a cop who goes by the name of Teddy.
John Edward Gamble, John G.
Do you know him?
No.
We met Teddy earlier in the film. He is the man who Leonard kills in the beginning of the film. Teddy seems to be Leonard's friend, however, Leonard has reasons to think otherwise. On his Polaroid picture of Teddy, on the back where he writes the notes for all of the people he meets, he has, "Don't believe his lies." Leonard's constant voiceover in every single scene isn't an exposition device, because the exposition is delivered in such clever ways throughout the film. It represents his inner monologue. He is learning these new situations at the same rate that we are. Like the central character, we soon forget what happened previously in the beginning of the story. Nolan's direction is perfect for channeling this confusion. The story is layered, but Nolan keeps things strictly to Leonard's perspective. It is always on him. As the film goes along, the scenes get shorter. There are less time between scenes. The black and white scenes get shorter, which tells us that soon the chronologies of each sections of film, the colour film and the black and white film, they are soon going to connect. The main storyline is much more involving and exciting than the black and white, which was bound to happen. However, there are key details that need to be explained in the black and white section. Eventually, Leonard starts to doubt who he is. He starts to doubt certain things about his story.
Like, how did you get this suit, the car?
I have money.
From what?
My wife's death. I used to work in insurance. We were well covered.
Oh, so in your grief, you wandered into a Jaguar dealership. You don't have a clue, do you? You don't even know who you are.
Yes, I do.
In his scenes with Teddy, Teddy constantly tells him that Leonard Shelby from San Francisco is the man he used to be. He is not that person anymore.
I am Leonard Shelby. I am from San Francisco.
That's who you were. You do not know who you are. What you've become since the incident.
As the film draws to a close, the mystery comes full circle. We finally realise these key details. It was Teddy and Jimmy, Natalie's husband, who were having the drug deal. Teddy tried to set up Leonard to kill Jimmy so Teddy could get away with the money. However, after Leonard kills Jimmy, we realise that it was Leonard who killed Natalie's husband, resulting in the men to be on Natalie's tail. When Leonard kills Jimmy, Jimmy whispers Sammy to Leonard. This throws Leonard off because he knows that he has never met the killer of his wife before, and that everyone he meets, he tells the story of Sammy Jenkins to. Thus, he knows that Jimmy can't have killed his wife. He then confronts Teddy, and Teddy explains to Leonard what has been happening the whole time.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. Your wife surviving the assault. Her not believing your condition. The torment and pain and anguish tearing her up inside. The insulin.
That's Sammy, not me. I told you about Sammy.
Yeah, right. Like you tell yourself over and over again. Conditioning yourself to remember. Learning through repetition.
Sammy let his wife kill herself. Sammy ended up in an institution.
Sammy was a con man. A faker.
I never said that Sammy was faking.
Exposed him for what he was. A fraud.
But I was wrong. That's the whole point. See, Sammy's wife came to me.
Sammy didn't have a wife. It was your wife who had diabetes.
It is finally revealed that Leonard was Sammy Jenkins. The story was simply an idea that he created for himself, that he believed just to make up for his own tragedy. It was Leonard's wife who was the diabetic. It was Leonard's wife, just like Sammy's wife in the story, who overdosed on her insulin. Teddy tells Leonard that he was the cop assigned to the murder of his wife.
The real John G. I helped you find him over a year ago. He's already dead.
Don't lie to me anymore.
Look, Lenny. I was the cop assigned to your wife's case. I believed you. I thought you deserved a chance for revenge. I'm the one that helped you find the other guy in your bathroom that night. The guy that cracked your skull and fucked your wife. We found him. You killed him.
And that he felt sorry for Leonard and wanted to help him find the killer. Teddy tells Leonard that they found the killer over a year ago, that he was dead. But since Leonard felt so happy every time he killed the supposed John G killer, Teddy helped him kill multiple John Gs. The final twist is that Leonard has been killing multiple people who didn't actually kill his wife, but he sets up mysteries for himself to solve. Teddy tells Leonard that he isn't a killer, he's just very good at it.
But you didn't remember. So I helped you. Start looking again. Looking for the guy you already killed. I took that picture. Just when you did it. Look how happy you are. I wanted to see that face again.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Fuck you. I gave you a reason to live, and you were more than happy to help. You don't want the truth. You make up your own truth.
Leonard, having no recollection of killing these men, writes on the back of Teddy's Polaroid picture, "Do not trust his lies." Staying true to the structure of the film, we once again learn why previous events happen from a future event. Thus, we find out why Leonard wrote "Don't trust his lies." This one message causes him to doubt everything that Teddy says later, and it will eventually result in Teddy's death. Teddy's character is one of the most complex because we as an audience, like Leonard, don't know whether to trust his lies. Is he lying? We never know, but the film's structure and the way scenes are set up causes us to doubt everything these characters do and say. Teddy also reveals to Leonard that his name is John Edward Gamble, John G, and that for all Leonard knows, he could be the killer. Leonard, as he has done many times before, sets up a new mystery for him to solve. He is going to solve the murder of his wife, and he is going to conclude that Teddy is the killer. He will leave clues for himself, take out certain information in police files, and eventually come to the conclusion that Teddy is the killer. All this results in the first scene of the film, but the final scene of the chronology. It is the scene where Leonard kills Teddy after accusing him of killing his wife. We realize that in every single film, we need to have a certain amount of trust to our main character. However, Memento is one of the most unconventional films ever made. Its unconventional narrative, non-linear plotline, and central character who knows as much about himself as we do all result in a very unsettling experience. By the end of the film, we realize that everything we knew about Leonard, our central character, can be thrown out simply by one revelation that he has been killing multiple people. He isn't trying to find his wife's killer for the first time. He has set himself up with mysteries to solve time and time again. Everything we knew about our main character is thrown out. What we are left with is a man with a fractured memory, a distorted picture of reality, and a world that shatters with one simple revelation. However, he will not remember a single thing. Memento is the film that truly put Christopher Nolan on the map. It has a great screenplay, intricate direction, and fantastic performances. Of course, the performance that stands out is Guy Pearce's as Leonard Shelby. Pearce dominates the film. He is in practically every single scene except the Sammy Jenkins scenes, and he nails this role. He really sells the character who questions his reality and really doesn't know who he is. Carrie-Anne Moss is also great as Natalie, and Joe Pantoliano as Teddy is excellent as well. The problems I have with the film are one or two scenes that feel out of place. They don't really add up to the main narrative. But overall, Memento is an ambitious, great film that must be praised. I'm going to give Memento an A. Like I said, Memento is not a perfect film. Many people consider it to be a masterpiece, but I have some flaws. I don't think it's perfect. However, some of Nolan's later films I do think are perfect. Up next is Insomnia, a lesser known Nolan film, and I'll be interested to talk about that. I've really enjoyed doing this analysis review, and if you enjoy this too, please comment and please subscribe. I will see you next time, and until then, goodbye.